So what's going on? Why is the car on the back of a truck being delivered back to my house by a very helpful Series 1 recovery? Shout out to Adam, runs that. He helped me out big time on this particular weekend. Well, it's a bit of a long story, but I'll try and shorten it to keep this brief because we've got a lot to get through. But basically I decided, or me and my family decided, we'd go on a trip to North Wales. I thought it would be a good idea to take the project car. Never take your project car on a trip that requires mobility. But either way, I decided to take the project car. Thought it'd be a good idea, and yeah, I made it all the way up to North Wales. We popped into Harlech Castle on the way up. I had an enjoyable first day. I did, however, come across one small issue, which was the rear shock absorber had actually punched through the metal on the back of the car. I think the shocks were a little bit too short, but we'll get into that shortly. So that was problem number one. Problem number two came the next day when we were planning to go go-karting. That was actually in England, but we were staying in North Wales, so it was a little trip to go and go go-karting. Unfortunately, that's when I started hearing some knocking at the front. So as I was turning, I think it was right-hand corner, I would hear like a bit of scraping. And soon enough, as I went over a crest, I heard a big skidding noise where the front wheel had locked up, essentially, front passenger side wheel. Basically what had happened is the bottom arm ball joint had fallen out of the hub, meaning that as I'd gone over the crest, the wheel had fallen out and pushed forward and sort of locked itself tight, basically lost pretty much more steering, and came to a stop at the side of the road where we were there for a fair amount of time, where my very helpful friends on a Sunday actually travelled another 40 miles out of their way to go and get me some tools, because foolishly I didn't take enough tools with me, like a jack and things like that. Again, we're going to sort that out for the future, but they graciously went to get some tools for me, and we fixed it at the side of the road. Now, the problem I will come to in a future video, but basically the ball joint dropped out of the knuckle, even though the bolt was still in the knuckle. So something obviously wrong there with the front hub structure, or the structure of how I've got that front hub set up. So with that in mind, we managed to get it back in, and driving again. So I decided to take it really slowly back to where we were staying. Unfortunately, on the way back, I took quite a long right-hand turn, clearly a little bit too fast. And unfortunately, as I was going over the crest, the wheel went forward in the arch, so this way. Unfortunately, when I was going around the corner, the wheel went back in the arch while the ball joint fell out again. And when it went back, it took out my wing and inner arch liner. So I'm not very happy about that. It's really upset me. I was quite mad. We managed to patch it up again, just get it back to a local pub where it was there for a while, where we sort of took stock while we dealt with some life admin, i.e. kids, and feeding them. One thing to know, this was on Sunday. And I thought I'd put out the klaxon on social media to see if anybody could help me. I was in a bit of a pickle. I didn't have proper jack. I didn't have proper tools. I wasn't able to get enough torque on the front, or the lower front ball joint on this side, and I was worried that the other side was going to go as well. I put out the klaxons, and I have to say, a guy called Pete, who lived fairly locally, is an absolute legend. He came out and helped me put it all back together, get it all running again, and you'll find out in a second how his contribution to all of this becomes even greater, because that wasn't the end of it. It was bad enough. I was feeling terrible about my arch. I was feeling terrible about having missed go-karting with my friends and family, and I just wasn't in a very happy mood, clearly. However, things conspired to get worse. So later on that night, myself and Pete managed to fix the front where it was tight, and it was working just like the previous 2,000 miles had been. All well and good. We're all working as it had been. I get a bit more confident with the car, and I managed to get back up to a more realistic speed, 40, 50 mile an hour in the national speed limit roads up in North Wales. This is where everything went wrong again, quite catastrophically this time. No coming back from this one. So we had an agreement with Pete that he would follow us, and if I had any problems, then I could just pull over and we could look at the car. So we're rolling up to some traffic lights that are red, and he overtakes me and says he's going to go on forward, just follow him, because he knows where he's going, and we were relying on Google Maps and stuff. So as he overtakes me, the lights go green, and he shoots off into the distance. And as I put my foot down to take over him, there's one massive bang, clattering, and there's no power to the wheels of the car. So giving Pete a ring again, please come back and save me. As we came back, we realized that basically the donut on the front of the drive shaft had given way. Either it had loosened the bolts, or I hadn't tightened them up properly, or something had gone wrong, but the front of the drive shaft going onto the gearbox had come loose, and it had thrown the drive shaft or the prop shaft off the gearbox. So no drive, car is dead as a duck. There's no way I'm going to move it. So we're in the middle of North Wales, about 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, pretty much stranded, with Pete coming back to rescue us. Thankfully, I did have the foresight to put a tow bar in the car. So we just strapped the tow bar to the car and got Pete to tow us back to where we were staying. However, where we were staying was up a grass lane, which wasn't really suitable for the car in the first place. Never mind being towed by a van, specifically this car, which is fairly low, not great. But yeah, that wasn't going to happen. And if I needed to get it towed home, there was no way a truck was going to get to the car. So this is where Pete comes in clutch again, and again saves me, because his mate, who actually lived right around the corner from where we were staying, has a nice big yard where he could just leave the car, and he graciously let me keep the car there for however long I needed. Massive thumbs up to his mate. Massive thumbs up to Pete. Saved me, and got me back to shelter that night, along with my friends and family. So the car is in a fairly safe position. I'm comfortable with that. I sleep on it that night, and then the next morning, I realize I need to get home somehow. Obviously, the car can't take us home, and I've got myself and my son that we needed to get home, and my friends have their car, but their car is full of kids and themselves, so they couldn't take us home. So this is where legend number 2 comes in. Liam, who I've only met once before, when I bought a set of rear lights from his ST170 off him on a Facebook group, offered me his car so that I could drive home in it. Now his car wasn't another Focus, it was an MG ZS, ZT, one of them. You'll see it in a second. So his car wasn't an ST, it was an MG. Sounded pretty good, V6, pretty fun to drive actually, good, decent car. And literally, Liam offered the car to me for free. So the next morning, I went up to Liam's house, got the keys off him, and I had transport again. Dead car to get me home, and everybody who takes the mick out of me. So I drove it all the way home. So I managed to get back with my family. That was mostly uneventful. And the next day, or 2 days later, Adam, again, legend number 3, I guess, went all the way up to North Wales to the location where the car was stored, to pick it up and bring it back home, where it is now back with me. So that was the story of my summer, and the car is in need of some repair. So, giving it a quick rinse down, and this colour looks pretty damn good in the sun, to be fair. And then the thank you. Oh, and I almost forgot, full tank of fuel. Thank you, sir.
Yay! James got a new toy.
No! It's a thin rod. No! No!
James's disappointment.
That's a guy. He lied.
It's a big engine.
Goodies. Free seatbelt. That's how they took it up to the end, didn't they? The seatbelt. Oh my god, what is this? What is this? So, there's my new engine. This should be my new gearbox. Or it's just a caution heavy. Yes, it is. So I've got a fresh shifter, a new shifter to fit, and then a BMW, free release bearing, and a BMW 6-speed from a 1 Series. Now, this can't handle the torque, but neither can the 5-speed that I've got in there anyway. The main thing is this is a 6-speed, and I want to make sure that it fits. But either way, this should do for now. Even if it dies in the next couple of thousand miles, it should bolt up, fit in the car, make it so that I can just upgrade to the bigger gearboxes that, the stronger gearboxes that BMW do. This is bottom of the range, but the casings are all the same. So I'm hoping that when I fit this, and if I do kill it, then I can just upgrade to a stronger one. Also got start stop on this as well. If I wanted to add that in the car, but I'm not massively keen. Either way, new engine, new gearbox. Phase 2 is a go. Turn it up now.
onto the damage. Engine's out. And under here, there's the damage. Ignore the big hole. That's for a up and coming issue. But if I take you under here, you can see that's ignore this hole up here. Ignore that. No, that's the gear bit. That's the gear stick hole. But yeah, this you can see my finger goes into it. So that's where the drive shaft was clattering around when it finally gave in. So yeah, I don't know whether to fix it or leave it. I'm going to put paint over it, but I don't know whether to hammer it out from the inside or leave it as a memento. Drop a note in the comments. Let me know whether I should keep it or whether I should hammer it back out and paint over it. I'm going to put paint over it anyway because it needs another coat under there. I don't know whether to hammer out the experience marks, shall we call it. But yeah, so that's the damage that was done by the prop shaft under there. There was no damage to the bottom arm. How can I show you this? Yeah, there's no damage to the bottom arm down here. We're all good. However, the one that really hurt my feelings was this. So there's my nice straight line coming down there, and then it gets bent in like that. Cracked my welding. I think the side skirt is actually where it's supposed to be, so the wing has been dented in a fair bit, so I need to pull this out a bit. Oops. We also had a bit of a paint removal from in here. That's no big deal. This didn't go through, so that's no big deal. I think I put that dent in it, so that's no big deal. But the inner arch, obviously, wherever that was on the inner arch, has got a nice big hole in it now. And I should probably check the tyres as well, but I think the tyres are okay. Either way, just a bit of paint on here, and it should be okay. And I might just take this to the painter. No, I'll pull it out first, and take it to the painter. Get it painted again. That was left hand, and that almost worked. So that's the extent of the damage, really. There wasn't that much more. It's just obviously expensive because it's paint. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse, I guess. At least now I know there's a sort of prerequisite symptom of the wheel falling off or falling out. It was the ball joint scraping on the disc. Actually, might be able to show you that. So if we look on the disc, see this mark here? That is where the ball joint right under there makes contact with the disc when it gets a little bit loose. Oh. So yeah, that's my pre-warning for next time. If I start getting funny noises from the wheels as I turn corners, I know, stop, my bolt is falling out. But I've got a plan to fix it. Not going to do that this episode. We'll wait a couple of episodes before getting to that. I need to sort the engine and stuff out first, get it all back up and running with the new gearbox. What do I mean by new gearbox? Well, I mean a new 6-speed. So the gearbox that I had in the car previously was a 5-speed from a BMW Z5, maybe, something like that. Gear ratios were horrendous. It was like 70 mile an hour was about 3,200 RPM, which with a 4-litre V8 with a pair of spoolie boys, right about coming onto power was real terrible fuel economy, like really bad fuel economy, but that wasn't the main reason. Main reason is it's quite loud. So stop rambling. what I'm trying to get at is that 5-speed was 1, broken, see previous video where I forgot to put oil in it, 2, the gear ratios were all over the place, and 3 was a 5-speed, not really great for fuel economy, as might be required on long journeys to car shows. So the plan was to change it for a 6-speed, again BMW gearbox, fairly straight swap, and for the most part the 6-speed that I got now is from a 1 Series. Yeah, it's from a 1 Series, 2-litre petrol I think. Gear ratios are much better. It should bring 70 mile an hour all the way down to 2,200 RPM, which is much better. Gearbox is pretty much the same, a little bit stronger, better gear ratios, and this time I'm going to put oil in it. Okay, now that I've stripped both engines down, this is going to be the pile of new stuff that that's going to go on the car. I've got my inlet there. That's probably going to stay. I've got a billet rail that I bought ages ago. So there's 2 different types of rail. You can get the cast rail that's on that manifold already, or you can get a billet rail from one of the older ones. Bought that ages ago. I've got a set of 8 Denso coils, or cheap Denso coils, because I'm going to be going to a coil on plug conversion instead of the distributor and igniter situation that we've got going on at the moment. The exhaust is here, which I'll put on the engine in a second, and I got my prop shaft there. I've also bought a drive-by-wire throttle. Oh, it's already open. There we go. So I bought a nice drive-by-wire, 74mm I think, drive-by-wire throttle. Likewise, I've also got a pedal from a Ford Focus Mark II. Doesn't fit straight away. I've made a bracket. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, this will fit on the engine when I've got a new bracket that is currently on its way. So that'll fit on there, and I can have drive-by-wire when I've got my pedal in place. This smells funny. So that's that. So to go with the drive-by-wire throttle, I've also got like I said, a Mark II Focus. I think it's an ST because it's got the fancy silver or aluminium covering on the pedal. Accelerator pedal or throttle pedal. As you can see, slightly different to this. This has got a not that much movement to be fair, but enough to pull the cable at the top. It's got 3 bolts that it fits into the car. So I've made a quick bracket to adapt from the 3-bolt pattern on the car, and then that puts it upright in the driver's side footwell, and then this just bolts or nuts up to that, and then we've got some movement. I've also made sure when I bought this, I bought it with the plug as well, so that we can just wire it straight up correctly, and that should be job done. So that should allow me to run the engine with e-throttle, which will allow me to do launch control, anti-lag, cruise control, all good stuff. Better, I think, than a cable throttle. So looking forward to that, looking forward to getting into that and learning how to set it up. Next, we've got a set of, or these should be a set of 1UZ thick rods. So the ones that are currently in both engines, the one I originally put in the car and the one I bought are thin rods, even though I thought the new one I bought might have been a thick rod. It was 350 quid, so I was taking a bit of a gamble, but you know, on the advert it said it was like a 92, which means it would have been a thick rod, but again, it was cheap. I haven't broken it open yet, but I'm fairly convinced that it's a thin rod. But I've got a set now of thick rods. I'm not going to count them in a minute, and I don't think I'm going to put these in any engine yet, but these will be my sort of saving grace if any one of these, whichever one I pick, decides to answer when Rodney starts knocking. Let's say it like that. So that's a set of thick rods. Next we've got what should be a new set of a pair of rear coilover shocks for a 350Z. Not done much mileage apparently, so I thought, yeah, give them a go. And they should be better than what I've currently got in there. What I've currently got in there is too short. Where I've set up the top mount on the car, you know, where this bit bolts to, it looks like I've done it a little bit too high because the lowered coilovers that I had for the back were just a little bit too short, and they've actually pulled the car down, I suppose. I'll show you a bit more on that in a second, but these should fix it because they're just a tad longer, a little bit longer, so they shouldn't bottom out then when or top out. Would it be top out or bottom out? Yeah, but when the wheel goes down a big hole, these shouldn't pull the car down with it. So hopefully that fixes that problem. And I did think I was getting a set of springs in here, but obviously not. Either way, I don't need the springs. I've already got the springs. I just needed the new shocks. So that's that. And then finally, I've bought a new aircon condenser. This is because, one, the old one on both of the cars were toast. Second of all, this is in the wrong place. So I bought a really cheap one to see if I can remove this and move it somewhere else. That's what we're going to do next, because I want an aircon rad on the car so that we can put aircon, being as we've got the pump, the climate control in the car, and everything else that we need aside from this already on the car. So I was just going to try and find a space for one of these and move this so my intercooler doesn't get in the way, and then hopefully we can have some aircon in the car, because it gets quite warm on hot summer days in this country, believe it or not. So yeah, aircon should finish the job off nicely. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is going to try and unsolder these joints. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then this is 30 quid wasted. But I've wasted far more money the last couple of weeks. And yeah, if it does work, then we'll modify it a little bit so I can fit it in the car and we can have aircon. So I think that's it for now. Got loads left to do. I think this one's gone on long enough. I think it's about half an hour long, longer than I normally do. But yeah, we'll cover most of the stuff that I just mentioned in the next few episodes. Hopefully they won't take too long to get out, but I really am struggling to get to edit in these videos at the moment. I got loads of stuff to show, loads of stuff to do, loads of stuff to finish. I want to get the car ready for the summer. It is currently March and I'm nowhere near. So it's going to be a fun next couple of weeks, months. Hopefully I can get it done. Work really is killing me at the moment, but I'll do as much as I can, get as much edited as I can, chuck them on YouTube, and you guys hopefully get to watch it, like and subscribe as you should do. Please share it with your friends. I'm now actually demonetized by YouTube because I don't get enough views. So I'm doing this for no money now instead of next to no money. But you know, the benevolence. But anyway, see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Ciao.